you have some prospects coming in. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the phone lines. I got Ty and Merrill coming in at 9 a.m. and then tonight at 7 p.m. I got Coach Sean and Jarek. And the way that the schedule works out is those guys can work in the evening time. So there's no like special formula. It's literally like who is available in the morning and who is available at night. That's how that schedule works out. So don't think like too much of it. There's like some secret sauce. It's like, and you're like, hey, Kyle, why aren't you working? Well, guess what? I have full custody of my children and I'm a parent first above anything. Yes. And I provide the financial and emotional stability for my kids. And so I pour everything into my children. So a lot of people have asked, they're like, why aren't you on? Because I have 2 kids and they need me. They need their father every single day. So that's where I'm at. At night, making dinner, barbecuing, driving my son to Chick-fil-A, picking up my daughter, taking her to dance. So that's where I'm at. All right. Let's talk about these prospects coming in. This is important stuff, okay? For those out there, I think we only have Bama. I love Bama Hater. Bama Hater comes in, speaks his mind, and clearly doesn't like Alabama. And there's a lot of people who don't like Alabama. We get that, PTSD from what Coach Saban did to everybody since 2006. I get it, right? It's probably difficult to sleep if, you've seen Alabama football just run through your programs years and years and years. And now Alabama basketball is doing the same thing, is going to start doing the same thing, right? They're already doing it. Okay, so whoa, I almost ended the stream. So when you look to the prospects that Coach Kalen DeBoer is bringing in, I have been thoroughly impressed with what he's been able to do from class of 2024, 2025, and 2026. The prospects that are also in play right now are pretty damn impressive, okay? Derek Meadows, you seen this guy? 6'5", 185. I am the type of offensive-minded person that I want big, tall, wide receivers. Like my dream wide receiver is Caleb Odom. Okay, that's it. I loved how Saban would recruit his wide receivers. Although he never really had tall wide receivers. Right? I think the tallest one I think we can probably agree on is what Terrell Shavers or Cam Sims, who was probably floating around 6'5", 6'6". Jeff is saying, I'm going to be honest with you, Kyle. I don't know a lot of these prospects because he goes west. You know what? So Jeff, when you're done with this show, look at the recruiting landscape of Coach Kalen DeBoer, because he definitely goes after players from the West Coast. But what's been amazing to see is he's really used the entire country. So when you look at Bishop Gordon, okay, I minimized the sponsor banner. Bishop Gorman, one of the most established programs in the West. In Vegas, they're almost unbeatable. There's been a couple schools that will beat them from time to time within Las Vegas, within the city, but you know who they are. They run things. So 6'5", 185 pounds, and I believe Derek Meadows will be coming to Alabama at the back end of summer. I love it. And right now, so these RPMs, and this is On3's interface. I like how On3 like aesthetically looks to me. That's why I use them. I'm not paid by On3. I don't work for them. I don't work for anybody. I work for myself. But right now it says Notre Dame. I don't know how many people have submitted RPMs. That's a prediction machine to Notre Dame. I have no idea until you hear it from like a Whit Fong or like Andrew Bone or one of these big time names. Like then I'm not really buying into that prediction machine. Okay. And then you look to this other prospect. Okay, so this guy, 4-star, probably closer to a 5-star. He's the number 1 player in Nevada at the wide receiver position. Then we talked about this guy yesterday, okay? And I get it. Again, to Jeff's point, he's on the West, okay, in Dejon Lee. I don't think regionally it has anything to do with it. I just think that, yes, he does have connections in the West, but he also has coaches within his staff that have connections all over the country. Just look at who he's already brought in. Look at how he's recruited thus far out the gates within also the state of Alabama, okay? Dejon Lee, top of everybody's list. Who doesn't want Dejon Lee, right? Who doesn't want a little extra mayo? Who doesn't want in some extra mustard, right? Dejon Lee, this guy is a freak. He's the number 1 player in California. He's the number 5 corner in the country. I'm surprised. I think I said this yesterday. I'm surprised that he's the number 30th player overall in the country. Wow, right? damn, this must be a pretty damn good class. All right, we keep it rolling. And he's coming in as well. And I think clearly those are his top 4 schools. I think Hayes Fawcett, who does all the graphics, they're amazing. I think he tweeted out that those are I think the final 4 schools included Alabama, Washington, Georgia, and I think Texas A&M. I didn't see USC on there. I could be mistaken. Somebody from the undefeated probably knows. All right. We talked about this young man as well. Keelan Russell. Okay, Keelan Russell, who is that? He's a quarterback that is currently committed to SMU. SMU is probably trying every single thing that they can do to hang on to him. I don't think they're going to be able to hang on to him. He's coming to Alabama. And when I talk about players coming to Alabama this summer, get excited for recruiting probably within the middle of June. Because Coach Kalen DeBoer is now established. He has his office set up. He can bring guys in and he can showcase them. Tuscaloosa, now that he has ground underneath him. Before, he was probably more in reaction mode, although he doesn't look like a guy who's been stressing out too much. He looks like he's handled this very well. He has a great support staff behind him, and he's been doing really good. So in recruiting, right? Price just went up, probably. Kyle, I asked earlier, why did he commit to SMU? That's a good question. I'm not sure. That was kind of interesting to me as well. It's like when I pull him up, I'm like, I committed to SMU. That's interesting for sure. Out of Duncanville, Duncanville, you look at the high school football around that area, it's amazing. So to me, Coach Kalen DeBoer, and kind of getting to Jeff's point about just looking from the West Coast, I think he's done a really good job regionally. Of course, one of the great things that Coach Saban did was he maintained ties to the Lone Star State. I mean, he had that pipeline. I remember him always talking about Texas high school football and maintaining those relationships with Texas high school football coaches. He did a great job. Like Texas, I felt was a really strong pipeline for Alabama football. Same thing with Florida, same thing with Georgia, but you got to keep the prospects coming in from Texas. You can't, look at the prospects that are currently on Alabama's football team from Texas. Can you guys list them? Jalen Milroe, certainly one of them comes to mind. He reminds me of Jaden Daniels. Kendrick, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Debbie, what's going on? I appreciate you joining. And Debbie says, I love the hunger of this team has. They all seem to have something to prove, some individually, but all as a team. And I love the tight ends that have talent we need. No, they are not Brock Bowers, but spot on. I think you're right. I don't think there's an overly dynamic tight end in that room. I pray that it's Danny Lewis somehow, but even if they're not, I think they're capable to do whatever they need within this system. Appreciate you being here, Debbie. Lynn Shannyfield, what's up, man? Kyle, this is the guy, Keelan Russell, I want the most at Alabama. He played at a strong high school. He played a strong high school football schedule. I can't even imagine the talent for Duncanville and who they've been able to play like during the season. No, it's an elite program. It's an elite area. Keelan Russell, I've seen his tape. Really like what he brings. He is coming for an official visit to the University of Alabama, and I think it's going to be really hard for SMU to continue to keep him. Bama hater, I'll get to you in just a second, man. I appreciate you being here. Okay, let's look at some other prospects that are coming in. You also have Dawson Merritt. Now, let me ask you, Undefeated, inside the comment box, do you feel that Dawson Merritt, I haven't seen this, maybe you can help me out with this as well. Have you seen a commitment timeline for Dawson Merritt? Has he announced when he's going to announce? I would think that he's probably going to be one of the next prospects to commit to the University of Alabama. He is a 4-star linebacker, 205 out of Kansas. So we went from Nevada to California, Texas to Kansas. Anybody have intel on when Dawson plans to commit? I think he's going to commit to Alabama. So I don't make predictions. I have no idea what these 17-year-olds are going to do, right? I have a teenager, so I understand where they are at mentally. But I think from this perspective, I think it makes sense that Dawson comes to Alabama. If you've checked out his highlight tape, and we'll run some tape on some of these guys in another show, but I really like what he brings to the table as well, 4-star. So Coach Kalen DeBoer continues to recruit at a very high level, and I think if you're coming to Alabama and you want to join this team, you look at the overall coaches. Jeff says his overall grade was 93, which is good. Yeah, outstanding for sure. I like we talked about this new energy, but if you zoom into the coaches that are currently on board on the defensive side of the ball, they're all young. I mean, how old is Kane Womack? Is he like early 40s, right? Mo Lindquist, Colin Hitchler, linebackers coach, right? He's young as well. Everybody's young. Freddie Roach, he's young. So I look at the development, and these guys are bright. I love the fact that you could talk to the assistant coaches now, because you get to understand the mindset of just how good these coaches are. Jeff, you're 47? No, you're not old, man. All right, Anthony Jones, come back to the state of Alabama. He will be on campus sooner than later, okay, for a visit. You look at the talent out of Mobile right now. It's crazy. Like right now, there's a ton of talent. Who from here is from LA, Lower Alabama? Kane is 37. That's crazy. And Jimmy Lee Baker says that Dawson will be in town June 20th. Okay. Who lives in LA? Jimmy Lee Baker, you down there, right? The high school talent in LA. Mike, okay, so Saraland, okay? The high school football talent in that area is on fire. Even look at Gulf Shores. Didn't Gulf Shores just win the championship as well? Yeah, right? So am I wrong? Like, look at LA in the high school football talent that is on fire right now. It's crazy, the talent down in LA. So you have Andrew Jones, and you've had some prospects come out of St. Paul's 100%. You could probably name some inside the comment box. He's a 2026 guy, but I think it still is important to facilitate that 2026 class. And you have two prospects in right now on the defensive side of the ball, right? You had the two corners come in, but that 2026 is crazy. And Jeff, you're making a really good point, man. You got to keep the in-state prospects. And that is one thing. I mentioned Coach Saban took care of the prospects from Texas. Well, I mean, Coach Saban did an amazing job at taking care of the in-state talent. And you look at where the in-state talent has already chosen to go. I mean, Coach Kalen DeBoer off to a hell of a start, right? And Ryan Williams could have went to Auburn. Antonio Coleman could have stayed locked into Auburn. Derek Smith out of Selma, he could have went to Auburn. All those guys chose Alabama, right? C-Dub, is that right? South Mississippi hitting hard on the high school football front? That's what's up. That whole region, man. Then you go even into like the Bayou in Louisiana. It's crazy. Louisiana high school football talent, that's amazing to me too. Like Louisiana, I mean, you know who came out of Louisiana? Amite, right? Smitty. Quick segue real quick while I mentioned Smitty's name. My favorite wide receiver. You saw that he just bought that house for $700,000, which is an incredible amount of money. Maybe not so much when you're making, $50 million. Someone said it's a major flex to buy a house for $700,000 when you're a multi-millionaire. I 1,000,000% agree. If you missed last week's Friday show, I had Donnie Lee Jr. on, who knows all those guys, right? He said that what people don't know is that Devontae Smith is getting ready to buy a house back in Louisiana, like downsized, like for like $200,000 with a ton of land with nobody around it, so he can just kind of be by himself. The dude's a special person, man, special cat. That guy, like from the mindset, man. I'll always remember for Devontae Smith, there was recently this interview where he dropped a pass last season, and the reporter's like, man, what happened on that play? You didn't catch it. And he's like, and Devontae Smith just turns around, he's like, I dropped the damn ball.